At 6:26 p.m. on December 4th of last year, a spot fire started near Thomas Aquinas College on Highway 150, just north of Santa Paula. On pretty much any other day, that fire, like so many others, would have been quickly smothered by Ventura County Fire, but not on this evening. With 60-mile-per-hour Santa Ana winds blowing through the valley, the fire reached the neighborhoods of the Ventura foothills in less than 2 hours. And by the next morning, over 500 homes were destroyed, over 1,000 firefighters were on the front lines, and on that first night, the fire almost destroyed downtown Ventura, having burned right to the foot of the iconic City Hall building and began to surround the city of Ojai. The Thomas Fire dominated the area for the next 3 weeks, moving up the coast along 101 and forcing tens of thousands to evacuate their homes. At its height, it burned over 1,000 homes, and over 7,000 fire personnel from across North America were present. And when finally it was contained on January 12th, it had burned almost 282,000 acres in an area pretty close to the size of Los Angeles. It was the largest wildfire in the country for about 6 months until the Mendocino Complex fire. The effects of the Thomas Fire on Santa Barbara were physically minimal, but financially devastating. Of the 21 primary days of the fire, 14 days had air quality that exceeded extremely unhealthy. Ashfall looked like snow, and we had so much of it that it began to appear as snowdrifts around the city. The fire started at the beginning of the holiday shopping season and continued for 3 weeks, gutting retailers of all sizes as their sales plummeted from lack of customers and air quality forced closures. As we began the cleanup, we thought the worst had happened to us, but the second punch was on the way. At 3:30 in the morning on January 9th of that year, a microburst over the completely denuded Santa Ynez Mountains above Montecito dropped half an inch of rain in just 5 minutes. The result was a 15-foot-high wall of mud, boulders, and tree branches moving through large sections of Montecito. In minutes, 65 homes were completely destroyed, 462 were damaged, 163 people were injured, and 21 lost their lives, including one that we still have not found. The impact on Santa Barbara was extensive. The 101 was closed for 2 weeks after 2 feet of mud coated several miles of the freeway, and the underpass at Olive Mill was completely filled in. With its closure, the destruction of 3 bridges on Highway 192, there was no way to travel by car from Ventura to Santa Barbara, cutting off 10 to 15% of our workforce in Santa Barbara. Passenger ferry services, a civil airlift for essential personnel that included 50 private aircraft, or taking the 4-hour drive around on the 5 and the 166 were the only ways to get to Santa Barbara for the first several days, and later, train service started. Businesses were dramatically affected, losing the ability to move goods and services, missing large portions of their workforce, and generally being unable to conduct business as usual for the next 2 weeks. Teachers, first responders, local government officials, and the president of the Chamber of Commerce were caught on the wrong side of it, and we had to figure out how to get to our jobs. The economic results of both disasters were considerable. While hotels were full of evacuees paying discounted rates, visitor numbers dropped off substantially and have only hit pre-incident levels in the last month. And with new social media broadcasting, that did not help us. Our well-known Montecito residents, Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah, every day put up great pictures for everyone around the world to see the destruction and caused a lot of people to second-guess their trips to Santa Barbara. Sales tax numbers are forecast to be down too, necessitating local governments to look at tapping into reserves in order to maintain services. In both Ventura and Montecito, hundreds of millions of dollars of property losses mean a decrease in property taxes and huge impacts on planning and development services as people try to rebuild their lives. Through all of this, however, I will tell you that I'm amazed at the resiliency of the people of my region. On day 2 of the fire, local TV interviewed a man on the street in Ventura in front of his home as it burned. And he told the reporter, "It's just a house. My family is safe and we'll rebuild." The morning of the debris flow, over 300 people in the canyons above Montecito were airlifted off the roofs of their homes, but each one of them thanked their rescuers and took time to see what they could do to help others around them. You often don't know what you're capable of until disaster comes to your doorstep. For the people of my region, we got through this. We're rebuilding the physical devastation and the economic losses. We expect to have our economy fully functional again by November of this year, 1 year later, and just in time for the holiday season. So to each of you, I want to thank you. Thanks for your support during these disasters, for your words of encouragement, and for many of you who came down to support our stores on State Street and Coast Village Road. In Santa Barbara and Ventura, we like to say that we're 805 strong, and you're part of that. So thank you for all of your support, and we look forward to having you come down to Santa Barbara. Thanks, everybody.